Sorry, I'll just put this water down because there's no flat surface. Thank you, Richard. And I'm sorry about this, the sound. Can you hear me? Because I know there's a problem with the rain, but as a Christian, I can't complain. It says in the Bible, it raineth on the just and the unjust. So that's appropriate tonight. There is a certain absurdity, I think, in all these debates on this subject, because great minds have wrestled with them throughout history. Milton wrote Paradise Lost, which is the greatest long poem in the English language, to justify, to assert eternal providence and justify the ways of God to men. And obviously, I, and not even the bishop, are capable of doing that very effectively tonight. But one of the strange things about our opponents, I think, is that they don't see the difficulty of this subject. To them, the truth is evident, and God and religion are evidently untrue. I think that what they think they're doing is they're shining a clear light of reason on the subject. But I would say that the light that they're casting is rather like the searchlight that the guards use in one of those war films. It sweeps wildly across the sky, and sometimes pointing vainly upwards, sometimes rushing past its intended target, and sometimes almost by chance, fixing upon the poor prisoners trying to escape to freedom. And standing behind its pitiless beam, Commandant Dawkins orders the victims to be gunned down. Our opponents tonight claim to speak for atheism. They speak with anger and with certainty. All those of us who were against fundamentalism should unite against their cause. In 1941, Albert Einstein wrote a letter to a friend. He was absolutely fed up, he said, with being barked at by numerous dogs who were earning their food guarding ignorance and superstition. Those were the religious fanatics. But then he went on, there are the fanatical atheists whose intolerance is of the same kind as the intolerance of the religious fanatics and comes from the same source. They are creatures who, in their grudge against the traditional opium of the people, cannot bear the music of the spheres. The great unbelieving scientist understood something very important about the temper of the fundamentalist mind. What is it that we find so distasteful about fundamentalists? It's not that they believe something passionately, that can be a good thing. It's not even that they're stupid, some of them are very clever. Surely what we find so unattractive about fundamentalism is the attitude that it discloses to the truth and to other people. First, to the truth. Instead of the truth being something which expands the mind, fundamentalists turn it into a harsh and narrow test to which humanity is forced to submit. Natural selection explains the whole of life, proclaims Richard Dawkins, and whatever else is said is wrong. In societies where fundamentalists gain power, such as modern Iran or Lenin's Russia, such narrow ideas of truth are imposed and brutally policed. Second, the attitude to other people. The fundamentalist attitude to those who do not accept his truth is at best pitying and at worst murderous. He thinks such people must be defective, they must be stupid or deluded. Richard's book is called The God Delusion, or evil. Professor Dawkins sees the whole debate as a whodunit, some gigantic game of Cluedo. And he thinks he knows who is guilty. It was the Reverend Green who did it, with the Bible in the nursery. And he wishes to punish him. For the fundamentalists, there can be nothing to be learnt from those with whom one disagrees. And this makes these debates so terribly sterile. And when I read The God Delusion, for example, I find many arguments very well put, exposing many fallacies. But I never, ever find any sense of mental quest. I find hard intelligence, yes, but no subtlety, no imagination about other ways of thought, no humility. The author writes with pride, and it's the pride of a boxer who thinks he's knocked somebody out. It's part of our opponents' fundamentalist position that they don't really distinguish between fundamentalism and other forms of religious belief. Just as followers of bin Laden will say that